Russia has invaded Ukraine. To be more exact, Russia has invaded Crimea. What is behind the scenes of all this? What does Russia exactly want? So, to begin with, Russia artificially inflates hatred between west and east of Ukraine. Yes, artificially. And it does it by all possible means, including misinformation, distortion of facts, informational war, and so on, in order to escalate conflict between different parts of Ukraine. Why? Because Russia wants to take Crimea and Eastern soils from Ukraine, to steal them, and Russia wants to regain control over all Ukraine again and have pro-Russian president in Ukraine again. That's why I want to stress again. If you think that most people on the east and south of Ukraine hate other parts of Ukraine naturally, don't believe it. This is not true. It's a deliberate, intentional Russian politics aimed at artificial inflation of hatred between different parts of Ukraine and escalation of conflict. Again, it's artificial. Maybe you heard that Russia said that it invaded Crimea to so-called protect Russians who live in Ukraine. Russia has claimed that, but I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. This is idiotic. Because, first of all, it is namely Russia's own disguised information politics behind the scenes, behind all of this. And it's Russia that escalates conflict, scares people, and inflates hatred between different parts of Ukraine. And secondly, Ukraine never offended the rights of Russians living in Ukraine. Otherwise, the conflict would arise much earlier. And a lot of Russians in Ukraine, I mean those who live in Ukraine right now, they appeal to Russia not to invade Ukraine, not to launch war in Ukraine, and not to so-called protect them. However, Russia doesn't hear them for some reason. It's realistic to foresee that Russia is never gonna hear these Russians living in Ukraine, because Russia will never listen to them because it wants to steal Ukrainian soils, Crimea and Eastern soils, and it wants to regain control over all Ukraine. But the most important question is this: who has allowed Russia to so-called protect the Russians living on Ukrainian territory? Who has allowed Russia to invade Crimea and to launch a war? Because yes, by invading Crimea and deploying troops, in reality Russia began the war. This is idiotic that Russia has at least any right to do so. Absolutely not. Russia acts like an invader, and Russia does not respect Ukraine by such action, and there's nothing to excuse Russia for this. Absolutely nothing, to say it the very least. That's why Ukraine badly needs help of its Western partners in order to protect it from this invasion, barbaric invasion, because only barbars can act like this in our modern, democratic world civilization.